We were going to try this without the mic, but I think it's a good idea that we use it. So let's go ahead and plan to use the mic here. All right, welcome to the Baldwin County Republican Sheriff Candidate Forum. This will be a quick discussion with the candidates for the purpose of gaining a better understanding of each candidate's background and his vision for the Sheriff's Department. The forum has been divided into 3 segments. The first segment will consist of a 5-minute opener for each candidate. This will be followed by a general Q&A segment consisting of 3 to 4 questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to each question. The final segment will consist of 3 questions, each targeted toward a specific candidate. The candidate to whom the question is directed will have 3 minutes to respond to his question. Each other candidate will have 2 minutes to comment. At the end of tonight's discussion, 1 minute will be given to each candidate for closing remarks. We now give each candidate 5 minutes to introduce himself and explain the platform. We're going to start with Sheriff Matt.
Thank you. Good evening. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's a great crowd here at Homestead Village. And I appreciate the young Republicans hosting this meeting. The first forum, where all 3 of us have had a chance to come and talk with you tonight. And for that, I know that we probably all 3 are very appreciative of being able to come out to you and you listen to us, but more importantly, we get to listen to you. A lot of you do know me, but for those that don't, I am Huey Osmack. I currently serve as your sheriff here in Baldwin County. And let me tell you this, I understand one reason why these other 2 gentlemen are running for office. And that is probably the highest privilege and the deepest honor that I have had to serve as your sheriff here in Baldwin County. Baldwin County is a wonderful place. I love it dearly. I'm a lifelong native of this county. Went to Robertsdale High School, went to Troy University where I got my bachelor's degree and my master's degree. I've worked in this county overwhelming majority of my 28-year law enforcement career. I have been married for 27 years. My wife, Sherry, is here tonight. We have 2 sons that both attend Troy University. One is in the Army Cadet Program, will be going into the Army following his graduation, and the other one's a freshman. We have private family businesses in this county since 1965 that we still own and operate. In my law enforcement career, I've had the opportunity to work up through the Sheriff's Office. I served in several capacities in the Sheriff's Office, and in 2006, I ran for Sheriff of this county. I was able to win that race, and then again in 2010, was reelected to serve as your Sheriff. I'm asking you to allow me to do that for 4 more years. I believe that I am qualified. I am a lot of things, but the thing that I am first and foremost is I'm a Christian. I believe that servant leadership is based upon Christian values and Christian morals. I also believe that a sheriff should be the sheriff to all the people in the county, looking at all the issues. And Baldwin County has a lot of issues. Baldwin County is growing every day. Literally, while we sit here tonight, someone's probably looking at a house or looking at an apartment in Baldwin County. And one of the things your sheriff's office will face is that continuing growth. This past year, we reported out that crime was down overall in Baldwin County in the areas that the sheriff's office serves. And that's an accomplishment of the 300 men and women that worked for you and worked for me in the sheriff's office. I didn't do that. They did. And I give that credit to them. Baldwin County is a wonderful place to live, and it's my commitment to you to continue to partner with every aspect of government in our county and every aspect of law enforcement to serve you and do the best job that we possibly can do. I'm a graduate of the National Sheriff's Institute. I'm a graduate of the FBI Leadership Executive Development Program. I'm a graduate of the Southeastern Executive Law Enforcement Development Program. I'm a member of the past president of the Robertsdale Rotary Club, past president of the Central Baldwin Chamber of Commerce. And some people ask, Paul, why are you involved in those things? That's what you expect as your sheriff. You want your sheriff to be involved in the community and to listen to the community. And that's my commitment to you. I'm a big believer in training. I'm a big believer in education. And I'm a big believer in service. I'm very proud of the record that we've had. And the incumbent runs on the record. The opponents run on what they want to do. So I encourage you to look at my record. I encourage you to look at the things that we've accomplished in our sheriff's office. I encourage you to ask those questions and to be involved in this race. I'm very excited about the next 4 years in this county. We've established great working relationship with our judges. We've established great working relationship with the county commission, who is the funding body of the sheriff's office. We've expanded several different areas in the sheriff's office to serve you in technology. But one of the things I'm the most proud of is where we've connected to the community with our children. We have developed the school resource deputy program, and we've expanded that program in partnership with our municipalities. We expanded the Deputy on Campus program, which is a program that we created where deputies visit our school campuses. Because the most important thing I wanted those men and women to do is that first interaction with a child was with a handshake and not a handcuff. One of the biggest challenges of the sheriff is to make sure that we interact with our community and serve our community, and that is my commitment to you. Thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, and I'll repeat some of what Hall said. Thank the young Republicans for having us here tonight, for giving us an opportunity to speak. I thank the two candidates up here beside me. And thank you for all you being here. It just goes to show that you're just as concerned as I am, or I wouldn't be here. Y'all are concerned, you wouldn't be here. And we're concerned about our county, and I love our county. And just like Hall said, I love it. This has been my life, almost my entire life in Baldwin County. I did, my wife, Shelley, of 26 years, we've been married. She's sitting here tonight. We have 5 children, 4 grandchildren, and the grandchildren, by the way, were the best. But I grew up here in Spanish Fort on the Eastern Shore. I was 10 Spanish Fort Elementary School, Daphne Middle School, and Old Fairhope High School. I didn't finish at Fairhope. I ended up finishing in Monroe County, and then we moved back. Shelley and I did some 20 years ago. And while I was in Monroe County, I worked with the Forestry Commission, but I had that desire to be in law enforcement. And so I started attending night classes, going to criminal law and procedure at night, work during the day. And that dream kept rocking on. I started in the construction business. I had my own company. I was building houses all over the place. I had the opportunity while I was building a house in Montgomery County to attend the police academy. But back then, you had to attend it on your own and pay your own way through. You just had the sheriff's office would sponsor you. And I was lucky enough back then to have a guy that I was building a house for that had that same passion. He was retired from the game and fish. And he put his house on hold while I came back here and attended the police academy for 12 weeks and worked on his house on the weekends. And gave me that opportunity, and I'm thankful this day that I had that opportunity, because this is my life. I love law enforcement. I have a passion for it. I have a passion for serving people. And my experience, I went through the police academy in 1994 and finished the police academy. I went back and finished the house that I was building. And then I had the opportunity in 1995 in May. I went to work at the sheriff's office. My dream, my goal had came true. And I spent my first 7.5 years working the patrol division, working all over the county, handling calls, working the midnight shifts. And that's one thing right there that my two opponents do not have. And that's that on-the-ground experience of working in the patrol division, working that midnight shift, and I have a deeper understanding for the guys that I want to supervise. I know their hardships and how hot it is in the summertime, wearing that vest and being in that car. I know because I've worn it. I've done that. And I worked the narcotics division with the sheriff's office for over 8 years. Working undercover, I had long hair and the beard, which I truly do enjoy having long hair and the beard, and that was fun. So. But I worked out all over the county, worked other counties, doing the undercover thing. Learned a lot about the county. Did not realize in the 7.5 years I spent in the patrol division that we have a drug problem. There's drug deals literally going on around you every single day. And I didn't know that until I started working in the narcotics division. And literally every single day we were making drug buys in Walmart parking lot, in the service station parking lots, all around people that didn't have a clue what was going on. That experience right there can help lead us into attacking those problems we have. Also, during that time, let me back up. One advantage I had that my two opponents do not have, I had the opportunity to work for two different administrations. I worked for the old administration, and I had the opportunity to work for Paulson's administration. Both administrations did good things, and I believe I can build on those things that they did, but at the same time not make the mistakes that both have made. And I'm not saying I'm not going to make mistakes. I'm human. I hope the next person after me comes along and he learns from my mistakes and keeps building this thing. And that's what it's all about. It's about serving the community. I fully believe the sheriff has to understand that he works for the people. He don't work for the government. He don't work for the county commission. He don't work for the legislation. He works for the people. And you do that, in knowing that, our sole responsibility, or our biggest responsibility, is protecting each and every one of your constitutional rights. And I think that's one of the biggest things in law enforcement. We all take an oath to protect the Constitution. But how many of us really know the Constitution like we should? I'm not sitting here saying that I'm an expert in the Constitution, because I'm not. But me and the others in law enforcement, that's something that's one of the important things that we need to start learning. We didn't even know our Constitution. How are we going to defend it if we don't know it? And that's one of the things we need to push our law enforcement in that training, so they do know that key thing. If we uphold the Constitution and do what's right, leave politics out of it when it comes to here, when you're working cases and making cases, leave that alone. Defend the Constitution and do what's right. And I think y'all have an opportunity to be here.
Next up is Mr. Larry Wilson.
Hello. And I appreciate, like everybody else, the opportunity to be here with the Republicans. And, they talk about mistakes and so forth. I've heard it said best that our mistakes and our worst embarrassments are our greatest motivators, and we learn from that. And so I try to live my life that way. I did put mine in writing so I could stay in chronological order and try to cover things without straying too far off the path. First of all, I am Larry Milstead, and I'm a candidate for sheriff. I started in March of last year, so I've been doing this now for 1 year. Okay? It's been a long road. We got to go to June 3rd, and I understand that. A little bit about me. I'm married to the former Kate Wood of Fairhope, and I have 2 children, Brent and Tanya. I served in the U.S. Army. I'm a Vietnam veteran of the Vietnam War. I actually went into my second tour over there and wound up mustering out and coming on home. Life member of the Vietnam Veterans of America. I'm a member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. I'm a member of the Fraternal Order of Police, and that's important to me because we stay and keep ourselves available with what's going on in current topics. I have an associate's degree in business, a bachelor's degree in management, a master's degree in business administration, with emphasis in management. I'm a graduate of the Southwest Alabama Police Academy. I've taken untold courses and seminars and so forth in law enforcement conducted by the federal and state law enforcement agencies. I taught as a volunteer in the police academy for 17 years, and I taught lots of instruction on ethics, supervision, etc. I taught as an adjunct instructor at the Faulkner Community College in the business department. I started my law enforcement career working in the Baldwin County Corrections Center. From there, I was allowed to attend the police academy, and I graduated, and from there I was commissioned as a deputy sheriff. And a few years later, I was subsequently promoted to chief deputy. And for my authority, responsibility as chief deputy was for all the divisions of the sheriff's office: patrol, criminal investigations, narcotics, CID, civil. I prepared the annual budgets for the sheriff's office. I've written umpteen grant applications to try to get all the money that we could get. I retired the first of 2007, and I worked after retirement on a contractual basis with the district attorney as an investigator, and also managed some grants for the district attorney. I'm also a commissioned deputy sheriff for the Escambia County, Alabama, and I consult with the sheriff over there. I continue to take the CEU courses and whatnot to keep my minimum standards current. Kay and I are members of the Daphne United Methodist Church. I'm the past president of the Rotary Club of Bay Minette. I served on the Emergency 911 Board and various committees with the Department of Human Resources for a number of years. Kay and I reside just off of 104 to the west of Silver Hill. And I'm seeking the office of sheriff because I have a passion for the business. When I first got out of the military and had the opportunity to go to college, and that was because I was able to put my feet back under my mom and dad's table and get a job and get a little bit of GI Bill. My intent was to get a degree, an associate's degree, and then go to work. And I got some encouragement after I graduated, got my associates, and went to West Florida, got my bachelor's. I wanted to go into law enforcement, and I had a gentleman that was a mentor to me tell me, look, you will never make anything, have anything, don't do it, don't go into law enforcement. So I did wind up going into industrial management for about 8 or 9 years, had some good management jobs, really was not satisfied with that. Wound up over in Bay Minette with the Syntex Corporation making dental equipment, and we had a new sheriff that was elected, and I went up there in my Yogi outfit one day and asked him for a job, and he gave me a job working in the jail. And that's where I started, okay? And I just have a passion for this. I have a passion for Baldwin County. My roots are here in Baldwin County. I'm going to stay in Baldwin County. I have a plan for Baldwin County. I understand business. I understand the law enforcement profession, and regardless of what people say, that is a business. It is a big business. There's about $18 to $20 million there that has to be managed. I understand the management of personnel, and I'm asking you to honor me with your vote, and it'll be my honor to serve you as sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now ask a group of general questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes per question to respond. At the moderator's discretion, a 1-minute rebuttal will be given for any follow-up requested by a candidate. Response order will rotate for each question. Question 1. How do you protect Baldwin County residents from crime committed by commuter criminals from Mobile or other neighboring counties? How severe of a problem is this currently? We begin with Mr. Dunn.
Well, there again, that's where that on-the-ground experience comes back in, of knowing the areas, knowing the criminal element, and getting back to being a peace officer again, and knowing the people that you're serving. If you're out here serving the people and getting back to being a peace officer, people actually know the deputies again. The information will flow. We'll find out our problem areas. The thing about this county is we have 2 major interstates running through it. And there are a lot of people that traffic along that interstate and drop off to make a quick hit and get back on. Same thing with the water system. This county is almost surrounded by water. And two of the things that I'd like to do to help make a difference there. I'd like to develop a marine unit. We have all this water in Baldwin County, but the Sheriff's Office has no boat, no marine unit to be able to respond to the areas you can't get to by car. And in doing so, if the criminal element out there realizes that we can be anywhere at any given time, that will discourage people from coming to this county. And when they're here, they know that if they come here, they're taking a big chance of getting caught. We have that marine unit out there. The problem has always been manpower. But yet we don't tap into what we have here already and have a reserve program. There's so many volunteers that I've ran across this county since I've been out here. They would volunteer their time to retired police officers, retired military. They would want to get out here and help their communities. So we can beef up some areas of the Sheriff's Office and move our people into those areas where we need the biggest help, and that's along our borders and these neighborhoods along the interstates.
Thank you, Mr. Milstead.
Well, first of all, there's no news here as far as commuter crime and criminals in Baldwin County. Since we're based on our land mass, we're sandwiched between two metropolitan areas, and that's Pensacola, Florida, and Mobile, Alabama, and that's been a problem from well before I got into law enforcement. We've got major arteries coming in here, as he said, with the interstates, Highway 90, 98, etc. Where we're most vulnerable is our unincorporated areas, where they can drop off of them and get into the unincorporated areas. And in my personal opinion, I feel like there's not enough concentration of our deputies and high-profile patrolling out in the unincorporated areas. One part of my plan would be to build some substations out there to where a deputy doesn't have to drive 100 miles an hour to answer a call that's 30, 40, 50 miles away. I don't know how many of you have been to Little River, but you stop and make coffee before you get up there and take a break. But they're taxpayers too. But the liaison and the harmonious working relationship with the police departments that we have in Baldwin County is an absolutely imperative. We've got 14 municipalities now in Baldwin County. And they have police departments, or either they contract with the Sheriff's Office. And so dealing with them, and they're along these major arteries, our job and the main job of the sheriff is to provide law enforcement protection for the unincorporated areas. And I keep hammering on that because 2/3 of Baldwin County is unincorporated. And I just feel like there is not enough concentration in those areas to get there on a timely basis. And like I said, I started a year ago. I'm being told that it takes an hour to 2 hours many times for some deputies to show up in some of these areas, and the people are gone. Thank you.
Sheriff Fine.
In order to combat, and I agree with the other two gentlemen here tonight, Interstate 10, Interstate 65, and of course it's Highway 59, Highway 31, Highway 98, Highway 90, all these different areas now that come into our county. One of the things that I'm very proud of, and when I became sheriff, and I don't know why this hasn't been done in the past, but we partnered with Mobile County Sheriff's Office. And we established a couple different task forces that were addressing this problem. We established the Interdiction Task Force, which Sheriff Cochran and I worked with, and we brought 2 municipalities into that fold as well. This past year, we had probably the largest heroin seizure in the southeastern United States, right here in Baldwin County. We also had a large cash seizure of $1.4 million in drug money that was seized as a product of this cooperation and this task force. We partnered with our municipalities. No police department and no sheriff's office in Baldwin County can do the job by themselves. It does take cooperation. We have a wonderful working relationship with all of our police agencies. I meet with my police chiefs regularly to pool resources and pool manpower. We've also established in the Sheriff's Office a Special Operations Unit, a unit that did exist prior to when I became sheriff, but we enhanced this unit. And this is a unit that we can float around the county without specific designation to address those issues as they arise, in those issues where we are having some high crime, or we are having some high issues as far as traffic, or individuals that may be coming into those subdivisions and those areas. We've addressed those areas and we continue to do so. We are out in the communities, we do police the communities, and we have gotten our response times down. Some areas now, minutes. I'm not aware of any 2 or 3 hour response times. If there are any of those, I would like to know about. But we address those issues daily with your sheriff's office.
Thank you. We'll move on to question 2. What are the current challenges regarding drug enforcement in the county? What is your plan to address these challenges, Mr. Millsford?
I appreciate what the sheriff said about interdiction on the interstates. It's nothing new. We were doing that in the other administration. But what good does it do to focus on the interstate? I understand there is a lot of drugs that go up and down the interstate highways, but we cannot interdict it all. We have got a meth problem in Baldwin County, as they do in Louisiana, Mississippi, and everywhere else. And anytime you have a huge rural area like we have, which is 2/3 of this county, you're going to have meth labs. They got the shake and bakes with the little bottles of this and that, house trailers that's pulled up in the woods. And I go back to talking with the people. I have spent a lot of time in unincorporated areas since March of last year talking with the people in the unincorporated areas. And that is the common theme that I hear about meth, the pervasiveness of meth, and the lack of enforcement of meth. They talk about houseboats on the river. They talk about the trailers in the woods, etc. My plan is we will continue interdiction, but it won't be of the level that is currently going at right now. We have got to have more of our drug task force, and we started the drug task force in another administration with members of the municipalities and state agencies, etc. But there's got to be more of a focus out there in the unincorporated areas where the sheriff is supposed to provide law enforcement protection. And that would be my plan, to increase the drug task force, to move them away from the municipalities. You've got police departments in the municipalities. We were there to support them and help them when we can. Sometimes we have superior resources and sometimes we don't. But there's got to be more focus out there in the unincorporated areas.
Thank you. Sheriff Mack?
We do have a Baldwin County multi-jurisdictional drug task force in our county, which is a combination of the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, and the municipal law enforcement. And we do fight the meth problem in our county. We do it very well. The problem with the meth thing, and I know we have some experienced narcotics investigators in our room tonight, and the whole drug situation has really changed because this is a drug that you make in your home. It's not a drug that you have imported. It's not a drug that you usually go and buy from the dealer on the street corner. But most of our meth is domestic meth, and it's made within the homes. And it presents its own circumstance as far as investigating that crime and getting in it. We've seen an insurgence now of cocaine is back on the rise. Heroin is back on the rise. And marijuana is always prevalent in our drug culture. And so there's many drugs that we have to fight and address. We have officers assigned to the High Intensity Drug Task Force with the federal government. We work with the DEA. We work with the FBI. We work with ICE because it takes that total effort to address the drug problem. We don't just try to enforce the drug laws in one area of a drug violation because what we have known is most drug users and drug dealers don't just use one drug. They use multiple drugs. They're connected to multiple drugs. Some of these investigations take a large amount of time. Some of them are a short amount of time. Just Friday night, we're in Bayonet doing a search warrant on a drug house up there. We address the drug problem, and I think we do it very well. It is very dynamic, and it's something that we have to stay constantly on, and we have to continue fighting this fight, because until our federal government decides to seal our borders and protect the influx of these illegal drugs coming into our country, it is still just a fight. We've got to work to better address this problem.
Mr. Dunn.
I'm going to do a repeat. I was the guy here making those cases and other proposals and pictures of it. I know how to make drug cases and where our problems lie. And I agree with both what the sheriff and Mr. Milstead had to say. The problem is that in the rural areas. And in 19 years of my law enforcement career, basically our narcotics division has not increased. We've got the same few deputies, and we do have a task force, like I said, with other agencies, but the actual sheriff's office employees are either 5 or 6, and it hadn't changed since I started 19 years ago. There again, let's utilize what we've had here. We've had people that would come in here and be reserve deputies, and we can focus our attention back to where we need it again. And put our full-time employees out here working those things and utilize those reserve programs to beef up what we got at a low cost. Yes, drugs are a problem in this county. I saw it firsthand every single day. And we have to address that. And the only way to do it, though, is we have to stop trying to centrally locate everything in this county has got to stop. All investigations is in one place in Robertsdale. When you got investigators driving from the north end to come there every day to report, just like you do from the south end, we've got to expand out and take advantage of those areas where we're not wasting that fuel and time just getting there. And Mr. Milstead spoke about substations. Well, that may be a good idea, but if we just spread our deputies out where they don't have to come to a central location every single day and quit wasting fuel and man hours and address the problem out in our rural areas.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to question 3. In 2013, the State Senate passed NRA-backed Senate Bill 286, which proposed several changes to Alabama law. All Alabama Sheriff's Association members voted 3 parts of this legislation on grounds of public safety. First, the bill required sheriffs to issue a concealed carry permit to anyone who passes a background check. Second, the bill allowed Alabama residents to obtain a concealed carry permit with a renewal period of 5 years instead of 1 year. And finally, the bill made it legal for law-abiding gun owners to carry and store a weapon in their vehicle, regardless of whether they have a concealed carry permit. Please discuss your position on these 3 items. We'll begin with Sheriff Mack.
This will probably be where a lot of interesting conversation goes tonight. This was a passionate bill that was passed in the state of Alabama last year. It was a heavily debated bill because this bill, why the gentleman actually cited 3 things. It actually amended or addressed 10 different sections under Alabama law. I'll go along the items there. Which in Baldwin County, we were already doing a lot of what this bill provided for. Keep in mind, there's 67 sheriffs in the state of Alabama. One of the problems, admittedly so, is there were 67 ways that permits were being issued. One of the things that this bill did was try to bring a concise manner to it. Now, initially, the sheriffs of Alabama opposed this bill, and that is true. And the reason we did it in February of 2013 is because the bill left some very open areas as it related to public safety, such as being able to carry a gun in a public demonstration, such as being able to take a weapon on a school campus, or being able to take a weapon to a public sporting event. Those were issues that the sheriffs came together, and we met with the legislators. We met with Senator Beeson, we met with Senator Ward, we met with the House delegation, and we came out with a bill that we agreed with in the end when it was passed, and that we enforce today. We were not issuing permits arbitrarily. There were some counties that do, but we had already been doing background checks on everybody. We did a standard background check on everybody that came in to get a concealed carry permit. And let me define that very quickly. We use the word pistol permit. Folks, it's a concealed carry permit. It's not about you being able to carry a pistol. It's about you being able to carry a pistol concealed on about your person or in your vehicle. You already had to have the permit to carry it in your vehicle, even though this legislation was addressed. And I'm sure we might have some more questions. My time's up, because this is a very comprehensive bill that addressed a lot of issues.
Mr. Elizabeth.
Well, as Sheriff Mack said, it is comprehensive. It actually cleared up some things that we had some problems with in the past. For example, if you had somebody passing through or transporting, say, a handgun to some sort of event that didn't have a concealed weapons permit, they are now allowed to transport that weapon. It has to be unloaded in a lockbox, out of the reach of the driver and out of the reach of the passenger. Before, you actually could have been charged with possessing of a handgun without a concealed weapons permit. Okay. The other thing is carrying it on to their employer's property. They have to keep it locked in their vehicle, and it holds the employer harmless as it goes to liability and so forth. And then, of course, the open carry that they're out there now that you can't. Open carry has actually been on the books for many, many years. Most people did not know that. And what happened was there was a charge. If you cause alarm in a public place, you could be arrested for disorderly conduct. And now that disorderly conduct charge has been taken away, and there is open carry out there. Essentially, I don't have a problem with the bill. They've covered a lot of areas. The legislature has spoken. I haven't heard of problems that's coming from it. I know when we issued pistol permits, probably 98% of the permits got issued because we ran the background checks. Like he said, it really limits, though, the amount of background checking that you can do as far as denying the permit, and it offers an appeal process. I do like the idea that people can buy the permit now for up to 5 years. And my time's out. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Dunn.
First of all, I'm 100% in support of the Second Amendment in the Alabama Constitution, Article 1, Section 46. And Senate Bill 286, in my opinion, was the biggest, greatest accomplishment we've had in protecting our gun rights in a long, long time. I think it still needs a little tweaking because it is confusing to a lot. But me, for one, I want every law-abiding citizen armed. I feel much safer with every law-abiding citizen armed. I do. You never know when that person protecting you is going to. I'm out there needing help on the side of the road, and somebody, a law-abiding citizen with a firearm, is going to be there to help me, and I want that help. And so, unlike other folks, somebody having a gun in the vehicle does not scare me. I just assume we're in Alabama, everybody's armed, and that's just my take on it. So, this Senate bill, I know there's another one there now that we're trying to tweak some things, and it does need tweaking just to clear up the clarification of where you can and can't, but I fully support it.
Thank you. We'll move on to question 4. We're still in the general question section. What is your position on the use of military equipment and tactics in enforcing the law on the citizens of Baldwin County? Start with Mr. Dillon.
Well, my number one mission is to get law enforcement officers in this county moved back in the direction of being peace officers again. I firmly believe we're moving away from that nationwide, and using military-type vehicles in this county is a wrong move. I think it sets a mindset, it sets us, the law enforcement, away from the citizens. And to be peace officers, we've got to be one with the citizens, and if we work with them, I think that was, I know what we're leading to here is this armored vehicle that was going to be purchased. It's wrong for this county. We do not need an armored personnel carrier for this county. We're not in Los Angeles where we get gunfire We're not in Iraq where there could be an IED explosion from the vehicle. It's too heavy. The cost of it would be just phenomenal, not counting the maintenance on it. And it's the wrong perception for this county. We don't need that. We just need to get back being a peace officer again.
I wish this county was what it was 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's not. You know, this isn't Los Angeles County. But if Scott Ward would have been in Los Angeles County and killed, he would have been just as dead as he is in Baldwin County. One of the jobs as your sheriff is to make sure that my men and my women are protected. I ask everybody here tonight, and this is a passionate issue for me, folks, so excuse my emotion. But let me ask you, any parent here tonight that bought their child their first vehicle, were you concerned about the tires on the vehicle? Were you concerned that the vehicle had a seatbelt? Did you even buy that vehicle because it may have had an airbag? This is not a military vehicle. It is an armored vehicle. We had a situation in Fairhope just a few years ago, just down the street, where an individual was ready to blow up a restaurant that was adjacent to where they were having some dance classes. And we had to go and wait on the vehicle to put officers in to get them close to the scene. You know, it's about protection of our people. If I'm going to send my men and my women, who, by the way, volunteer to be on our tactical team, they don't receive any extra pay. They don't receive any extra compensation for what they do, but they're willing to lay their lives on the line for you. In those tactical and in those dangerous situations, the opportunity to get into a situation safe, an injured person, a hurt person, cannot render the situation safe. It's about protection of our people. We're not militarizing. We're not trying to make this into a military. This vehicle it has no armament on it of an offensive nature. It is a defensive thing. And my commitment is to protect the men and women of our sheriff's office so that they can serve you.
Well, he started off the question with militaristic. I've been in the Army and I've been in war, and I get all that. As far as the vehicle that he was talking about, I believe, according to my data that I've received, that there's been about 3 call-outs for the emergency response team. And by the way, we named in our administration that team the emergency response team to get away from the connotation of SWAT, even though most people still refer to it as SWAT, but it's emergency response team. And all of the officers, unless there's been a change that I don't know about, have their fallout gear, bailout gear, in the trunks of their vehicles, and they respond to the scene. $300,000 to $350,000 for a vehicle like that is going to sit a lot. And I understand protection. I'm all for protection. But to sit there and depreciate out from under us when we need substations out in these unincorporated areas with phones and bathrooms and whatnot, and you talk about safety is when they're driving up and down the road, and some of these roads are hilly and curvy, and the back roads and this and that, 100 miles an hour trying to answer a call because they're so far away. That leads to protection as well. I am for the training. Education is paramount. Safety is paramount. The use of the weaponry is paramount. And I understand what Sheriff Matt's saying here, but we've got needs that right now are not being met, and they're not being met out. And I keep hammering this, guys, out in the unincorporated areas. If you live in the cities, you have a police department. That's who you call on. But this is a constitutional office that everybody gets to vote for. And so the bulk of the population, about 80% of it, that vote live in the incorporated areas. And you're the ones, those of you that live in the municipalities, are going to be the ones that determine who's going to be the sheriff and provide law enforcement protection for the unincorporated areas. Thank you.
I'll now ask each candidate a question targeted to his campaign. He will have 3 minutes to respond. 2 minutes will be given to each of the other candidates to comment. We will then give the original responder a final 2-minute rebuttal. The first question is for Sheriff Mack. Senate Bill 312, signed into law in May, sets new minimum qualifications for candidates of this office. Requirements include having at least 3 years of immediate law enforcement experience with the power to make arrests and 1 year of residency in the county. Some have expressed concern that this state law, which applies only to our county, greatly limits the pool of challengers to this office. Why do you propose these new rules, and how do you respond to the claims that well-qualified candidates are prevented from running for this office? Sheriff Mack, 3 minutes.
Obviously, there's 2 other well-qualified candidates that are running for this office. I did discuss this bill with our legislative delegation, and this bill was to provide accountability, is what it was about. You know, in Alabama, every law enforcement officer, with the exception of sheriff, was overseen as to have their basic education in law enforcement and their continuing education. Why should we not hold the highest elected office of law enforcement to the minimum standard of all the other law enforcement in the state? Folks, there was a time when judges weren't lawyers. There was a time when other agencies in our state did not have the certain criteria that they now have to meet. I went to the delegation and I posed the question to them. But they were the ones that drafted the legislation and took it to the legislature. And it was voted on by the legislature. It was voted on by the House. It was voted on by the Senate. And it was enacted. And when I talked to Governor Baldwin prior to signing the bill, he told me, he said, Sheriff, this is a step in the right direction. I wish our state would have went this way, but I'm glad that Baldwin County is taking the lead. That's what it's about, ladies and gentlemen. You still get to vote for your sheriff. You get to vote for either one of the 3 of us. But when I had an election, and I discussed it with my delegation, in the last election, we had an individual who qualified for sheriff, who had no business in law enforcement, who had an arrest history, and who was as much anti-law enforcement as anybody could be. And after the party had certified that ballot, if I would have died or been arrested or had to leave my office, he would have been the party nominee for sheriff of Baldwin County. There was no Democrat running in 2006, just like there is no, in 2010, just like there is no Democrat running in this race. And yes, you can have a write-in candidate and you can address those issues. But you know, one of the things that I discussed with the legislative delegation and all the chiefs of police and the different ones that I vetted and talked to about this bill was that you deserve your sheriff to be accountable. The sheriff sets the policy, sets the standards, the parameters, if you will, of the men and women. And that individual, we are in 2014. And the time has come that the sheriff needs to be a law enforcement officer and needs to understand law enforcement as he or she sets those parameters for the men and women that serve him or her. And that's why I discussed the bill with the delegation. I believe it was a step in the right direction. I will tell you that it was discussed heavily among the legislative delegation, as well as the many lawyers that were involved in this process as it was entered into the legislative process.
Thank you. Mr. Baldwin.
Let's get back to talking about protecting the Constitution. This law was in direct violation. It's unconstitutional to be. Our state constitution sets out the qualifications of our sheriff. And it also has a mechanism in place, so if something had happened to Sheriff Mack back then and Orlando Bethel had become our sheriff, our own Constitution could have got rid of Orlando Bethel. That it has a safety net. This is government scare tactics of the what ifs, and we can what if everything to death. We have to stand for our Constitution, and if we pass a law just for Baldwin County and not the entire state, there's something wrong with that. If this is what the people wanted, it should have been put on an amendment in a statewide.
Mr. Wilson.
And respectfully, I say this, Sheriff Mack does take credit for this on his website as to getting this bill passed as far as new requirements to be sheriff in Baldwin County. I am against this bill totally. I have told Senator Tripp Pittman that and the other legislative representatives. Absolutely opposing a constitutional right. Jeff's right. A constitutional right was taken away from us. It was articulated in our state constitution. We are constantly bombarded by Washington and lose our rights almost daily, if not weekly. Some of it by presidential fiat without the Congress getting involved. Okay? And I differ with this bill in its form and its implementation. In form, I don't believe you need to be a police officer to be the sheriff. This is a sheriff can be spun in any way that you want to spin it. My observation has been that somebody with administrative skills, and you got to give people credit for having some sense as to who to vote into office. Administrative skills, you're a political figurehead, you're the liaison with the sheriff's office to the people, and you have to listen to them. And the implementation, the implementation was such there were no public forums. The people were not given an opportunity to vote on it because they would have voted it down. Nobody in their right mind is going to vote away a constitutional right. Why would a sitting office holder be allowed to write a bill and have it passed by the legislative delegation without input from the people?
Sheriff Mack, would you like to final 2 minutes?
Stand by my previous comment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next question is from Mr. Milson. You have said response time to the unincorporated areas of Baldwin County is a problem. What is the cause of this problem, and how will you, with limited resources and officers, solve it?
Well, instead of $350,000 for that response vehicle, I believe the money would be best spent by having a liaison with the volunteer fire departments. We have numerous volunteer fire departments in Baldwin County. We'd have to work out a plan with them and with the county commission, because they are our funding body, to perhaps build on their land or at least attach to their building, as I said earlier, a substation. Right now, we have this county, I believe, broken into 6 areas with a deputy in those areas and a supervisor and so forth. But I'm telling you, folks, if you live in Stockton, Little River, Perdido, Raven, Elsinore, Rossington, Lillian, whatever, you have got a response time. I have met with people in Little River, and they will tell you consistently that it may take an hour, 2 hours. If it's night, it may take longer than that. You may just get a phone call. I'm not making this stuff up. I started in March of last year meeting with these people and listening to the people. And we are going to have to spend our money wisely in terms of that infrastructure, in addition to these, if they'll let us, these volunteer fire departments. And I think they would probably welcome having that presence there. It cuts down on the response time. You're not having to ride 100 miles an hour of terrible roads to try to get there at night and run over a deer or something like that. And I'll stand by that. I'm telling you, this is what I'm hearing, and that will be my focus, is to try to take it to the unincorporated areas. The sheriff is responsible for 3 things: serving the circuit and district court and all the tens of thousands of papers that come out of there, running the county jail, and provide law enforcement protection for the unincorporated areas. It has always been thus. And we back up our police when we need them. We're blessed with some great police departments. but the deputies need to move away from the cities and the edges of these cities and out there in the unincorporated areas. Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Currently, probably on every shift, I have 10 substations at work. This is 2014. We don't need deputy sheriffs sitting in substations waiting on a call. The number one deterrent to crime is visibility. That's why, as your sheriff, one of the first things that we did and we put in is we put mobile data terminals, computers, in all the cars, complete with printers, complete with new communication devices, because we believe the deputies should be out in the communities and not at the substation, not in somewhere that they're waiting to answer the call. Contrary to the previous administration, of which Mr. Milstead, of course, was chief deputy, we took those 6 areas and now we actually have 8 patrol areas. We did divide the county up. We have decreased response time. I'm speaking to a group tomorrow morning, and one of the issues we're going to talk to them is about the response time. In this particular area, which I will tell you about as Lillian, we averaged anywhere from a 1 minute to a 19-minute response time. The maximum average was 19 minutes in this particular call volume. Now, of course, we base calls on priority as any sheriff, as any office would, whether it's a call in progress or it's a delayed report. But one of the things that I'm very proud of is the technology that we've integrated with those deputy sheriffs to give them that opportunity to be in the community where they can see that deputy car, because the visibility is a deterrent to crime, and we address that through those issues. And as far as the liaison with the fire departments, we do. A member of my staff attends almost every fire chief's meeting in Baldwin County. It's usually our chief deputy, but we have a liaison with our fire departments. I'm very proud of our volunteer fire departments, by the way, and the relationship that we do have with them.
Mr. Dunn.
I guess I agree with somewhat of both what both has said. I don't know if it's cost effective to build a precinct out in the rural areas. Little River, for one, the call volume up there is very low. So the response time that I see the problem being is because the deputy that's assigned that area, he may be going off into another area backing up that deputy. I think to solve this problem, you start this reserve program that I'm talking about. So that deputy may have a deputy already riding with him, so he don't have to call for backup. So you don't have another deputy leaving his area and having to drive across the county to back him up. You've got that. I think that will solve the response time and not without having to spend money building other precincts.
Would you like a final 2 minutes, Mr. Wilson? Okay, the last question is for Mr. Dunn. Your campaign slogan is "A cop, not a politician." The sheriff wears many hats, including overseeing employee issues, budgeting, managing prisoners, applying for grants, etc. Are you qualified to be the chief executive of such a large and multifaceted organization?
Well, in the words of Ronald Reagan, you don't have to be the smartest man in the room, but surround yourself with smart people. Right now, there's 6 people handling the finance for the sheriff's office. There's 3 people handling the human resources. So a lot of those things that the sheriff long ago may have had to focus his time on, there's branches of that of the division now that's handling those things. So the sheriff, in my opinion, needs to be out here listening to people, being involved with what's going on with his deputies. Sure, you have to be an administrator, but you have to lead by example. And you can't lead by sitting up in the office. You got to be out here on the road with them and listening to people and getting back. Like again, I'm going to keep hammering this: being peace officers. And if our sheriff is out here in the communities being the peace officer, I believe our deputies will pick up on it and they'll follow that lead.
Would you like 2 minutes?
Well, and I appreciate what Mr. Dunn has said. However, we're managing and we're talking about an $18 million, $20 million. I haven't looked at it recently, but $18 to $20 million is a lot of money. That's tax money that has to be managed wisely. You've got to understand finances. You've got to also augment that by going after grants and so forth. And sure, as a good manager, you delegate the necessary authority to get the job done. And you do have a division of a finance manager, a personnel manager, and people like that. But you have got to keep your hand on that wheel. And it's not just going out into the community as the sheriff enforcing the law. You've got to deal with the courts. You've got to have a good working relationship with the judges. There's just a myriad of things that has to be done as the chief executive officer. And regardless of what people say, this is a big business. It is a service business. It is a public entity. Okay? And you've got to make sure that money is spent wisely. I have the background, I have the experience, and I have the education to do that. And again, I'm asking for your vote. To honor me with your vote would be my honor to be your sheriff. Thank you.
Sure, ma'am.
One of the things that I believe people want of their sheriff, once again, is to be involved. That's why I'm a member of every chamber of commerce in Baldwin County. That's why I go to church groups, everything from Sunday school classes to forums that are held. That's why I have a citizens advisory committee, not during an election year, because I don't want it to be perceived that that's someone out there I'm trying to get a vote from. But we've had a citizens advisory committee, usually 20 individuals that come in. What are you hearing in your community? What's going on? What are your issues? What do you think we need to be doing? How can we do it better? And we educate them about the sheriff's office. Larry's exactly right. 650-bed jail, $20 million a year budget, 2,000 meals prepared daily, almost $1 million a year in medical expense coming out of the jail for inmates, answering 80,000 calls for service a year. And the men and women of your sheriff's office do a good job of that. But they have to have a leader. They have to have someone that not only understands the law enforcement side, because that is important, but the business side, the personnel side, the community side, the civic side, who listens to all the people in the county and is able to pool those resources and address those resources and serve you. That's one of the things I think the sheriff is supposed to do. I said it earlier today. You get to vote for your sheriff. You don't get to vote for the chief of police. You don't get to vote for the director of the FBI. You don't get to vote for the state trooper. But you do get to vote for your sheriff. And you deserve someone in this office, in Baldwin County, whose population is 200,000 people, that has been adequately trained and has experience sufficient enough to manage this large enterprise.
There again, I'm not going to stand here and pretend I know everything about the sheriff's office. But through 2 administrations, we now have 8 appointed positions to handle all the things that they're talking about. The finance side, I'm sure the sheriff has the final say in it. It's the same thing when I was working construction, building houses. I had a budget. I bid it on a house. I had to keep that house under budget. It's the same thing on a larger scale. It's not something like rocket science. It's something that's just numbers. And that's why there's an appointed CPA that handles the finance up there, and the sheriff has the final say. But you have people handle those situations where you can concentrate on more other things. And no, I disagree. This is not a business. It's a service. It's a service. And I promise you, if elected, I will put the people in place that can manage those things or help manage those.
Okay, this completes the question portion of the night. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to make closing remarks. Mr. Milson.
Again, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. This is a Monday night, and I know it took away from your time, but it is important, and to get to see the 3 of us, I've talked about some things that I think are necessary, things that I would like to implement. Again, it goes back to trying to relate to the public, to return the office to being a public office. I do think it is a top administrative position that you've got to have your hands on a lot of things, but the first thing we've got to do is return to the unincorporated areas. I keep hammering on that. I'm tired of hearing it. That's what the sheriff is supposed to be doing. I disagree with that bill that got passed, limiting who can run for sheriff. I still believe that a private citizen should be able to do that, or at least give the people an opportunity to vote on it. And if it's so good for Baldwin County, why isn't it implemented in all the other 66 counties of this state? And I appreciate the game. I ask for your vote. Thank you again. Good night.
We've talked about a lot of topics tonight, and I know these topics are probably just as dear to you as they are to the three of us that are up here. I ask for your vote. I ask for your consideration in this race. I want to continue to serve you, and Jeff is right. It is service, but it's service with business. I believe that this sheriff's office has been there for you over the past 7 years, and I want to make sure that it's there for you, adequately trained and adequately able to serve you for the next 4. It has been a humble opportunity for me to be able to serve you in this capacity. I've never lost sight of who I work for. I've never lost sight of what the citizens of Baldwin County demand and expect. Most of you probably in this room moved here. We see a declining number of people that are actually lifelong natives of our county. And you moved here for a reason. You moved because you know this is one of God's special places that we have in this United States of America. And I'm proud to be able to serve you in that capacity and make sure that we keep that going, that we ensure public service, that we ensure public safety, and that we're there for you for your sheriff's office. I ask for your vote. I ask for your prayers. I ask for your support. There's one comment that Jeff did make about tonight. Jeff, I do miss the hair too. But when you talked about that, folks, this is serious business. But one of the things I want you to know is I love this job. I love this county. And I want you to know that my heart is in this, and I promise you that if re-elected as your sheriff, I'm going to stand by you, and I'll do everything that we can do to continue to serve you in our great county. Thank you, and God bless you.
The thing about being the sheriff and being in law enforcement in general is you have to have integrity. Without integrity, you have nothing. You have no say in the courts. And I firmly believe in integrity. I have high integrity. This is not for me. I really do want to serve. I've enjoyed serving. It's about protecting our Constitution, protecting our rights and our way of life. As we let them slip away, our way of life is going to change. And I'm going to say it again like Larry did. I'm going to keep hammering this. We have to return to being peace officers. We've got to get that way of thinking back in people and build up that public trust again. I'm humbled to be here. I thank y'all for taking your time to come here tonight. And I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
I know maybe some folks have some questions, but we did also kind of design this format to basically cover as much as we can. It's already been maybe a long evening. People want to carry on, so that's going to conclude tonight's event. I want to, on behalf of the Baldwin County Young Republicans, thank the candidates.